in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that this anime is bad, but at the same time, I really wish it was better. Hello everyone, welcome to the Weeb Initiative. I'm your host, the Weeb. This is a show where every other week I'll be talking about anime, manga, and everything in between. This week I'll be talking about, somewhat unfortunately, because last week I talked about Love Live Superstar, I need to counteract that with talking about my beloved Idolmaster. This time, Idolmaster Shining Colors, first season. And before I start, some disclaimers, spoiler alert, I'll be talking about everything that happens in this whole anime at the release, the first season, though it doesn't have any plot twist nor anything that would warrant such a warning, but here's the warning either way. Second thing is, I have not played the game nor read the manga, so for everything that is here, I just know these girls and these entering the franchise by this anime, and the less savory stuff that you find on the internet, you get what I'm saying, maybe, but it is really just like knowing some of the girls. Anyways, before I get too much into that, first for the stats. So Idolmaster Shiny Colors started on April 2024 and ended, I believe, in June 2024 with 12 episodes, and then the second season came out in October 2024 and ended in December 2024. The second season, same time that was the third season of Love Live Superstar. So in a way, I think that we could say it's the same time entry, more or less. It is done by the studio Polygon Pictures, which, and this is a thing, I don't actually know that much about Polygon, because apparently they have a worldwide activity, and not only on Japanese animation itself, they have their hand on a lot of stuff, between some Star Wars stuff, some Disney stuff, and so on and so forth. And for that matter, I believe that they also are one of those auxiliary studios that do storyboarding and roughed up animations for later on post-production in bigger studios. Anyways, that's not the point. Here is the thing, right? So again, Bandai didn't choose to either do it in-house nor do it with A1, unfortunately, and not even with Side Picture Studios. I believe that was the name that did U149 anime. I really like the work that those guys did with that one, and I really wish that they would have chosen to do it with them, because U149 was the last, at the very least, the last one that released that I really thought was on par, at the very least nearly on par with the OG's Idolmaster 2011 and Cinderella Girls. And here is the part, and those are the stats, right? So here's the part where I need to talk about a lot of stuff. So I think I was set up to failure on this one, because, and hear me out on this, right? So every time, and this is something that I will never get over, it is on me, and I know that, but it is something that I will never get over, is that I need, every time to talk about Idolmaster and Love Live, I need to compare them to the OGs, and comparing them to the OGs, I have a set bar, which I need to, at the very least, reach that bar to say, this is as good as those guys, the ones that set the bar up there. And for the most part, the last thing that we had that nearly got there if we discuss a lot, is U149, which wasn't even the latest one, because the latest one was the disappointing, at the very least for me, Million Live, which in my opinion was first thing, right? It was on 3D animation, different from the rest, different from the originals, which was already something that I didn't really like, if at all. And then also the story didn't follow the model that I wish it followed, because I think that model was the Idolmaster way in that way. And in that way, I have this point where when I talk about Love Live, I want them to innovate and try to be a bit more in depth with their stuff. And Idolmaster always bring back the idea of the original of Cinderella Girls, of exploring each of the girls separately. And I always want to keep it that way because at the release, in my opinion, right? The thing is, I think Idolmaster has reached in its inception, the OG and Cinderella Girls, a really good cohesion of it being in depth enough so I can connect with the girls, and being generally pretty cute and wholesome so I can actually get behind them. And the story is always pretty much the same, right? It's always the struggles of everyday life for these girls who are trying to be idols. And in this fact, it never changes, and I think that it is fine. But at the same time, the thing just comes to a halt in the way that I don't know why they don't follow the fucking recipe. I think that they have really good writers. I think that they could they do the fucking games. Like, you can get the writers to write something nice and actually get in depth with the girls. I know for a fact that in the games you can know the girls better. Why can't you just bring that to the anime? I don't understand. Normal people don't watch this kind of shit. Like, come on, man. Just the guys who actually care about this kind of stuff are watching this. Why can't you do it something nice? Like, I'm getting off track. The thing is, first off, this anime is full 3D CG, same as Million Live. We really wish that it was done 2D, because the 3D has, in this instance, overstayed its welcome. I have seen a whole lot of some animation that just feels lifeless. The lip sync is terrible. Lip sync in this is horrid, especially in the first episodes. The girls talking and their mouths that don't actually move to follow them at the release, and the whole thing doesn't really feel nice. And that is the technical stuff, right? The art. And here's the thing, outside of the 3D CG part, when the title said shiny colors, I just thought it was the title, but I need to comment on that. For some reason, I don't remember Million Live being like this. The colors in this anime are especially saturated. That's not a critique, like, it's not bad that they did it, but it is something so surprising, because I'm being honest here, I don't know if I am kind of jarred by, at this point, if watching Love Live may have got me somewhere, but oh my god, the colors on this anime are so saturated. I can't really understand why. Especially the sky and the whole background stuff, but especially the sky, it is really, really colorful, and it's really nice to actually see something like that. It adds to the art style in a subtle way, which is nice, and I wish more anime would do something like this, but at the same time, I understand why not. And at the very least, this is a really small detail inside of everything else. So with that aside, let's just talk about the story. So really quick stuff for this first season. It's really simple. So we have our new for this entry production company, Tsubasa Productions, 283 Productions. I don't understand how people make 283 with Tsubasa. Not even in Japanese, it doesn't make sense. But anyways, so we have Tsubasa Productions. It's not as big as Mashiro Pro originating Cinderella Girls. I will always mention that because the Cinderella castle that they had was something else. Anyways, so we have our faceless boss, our producer, who at this point is somewhat of a, let's say, intermediary producer, because at this point he has 3 units under his sleeve, and there's this let's say assistant that he has. I think her name is Husky, though I do not remember her name really, and this will be an ongoing theme here, but easy to say, the guy has already 3 units under his wing, and then we have this background characters, more or less, that appear from time to time. Husky, I think that's her name. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and that's just it. But she is also the instructor, the choreographer, more or less, the trainer for the girls to dance and stuff and sing, and the producer is just the producer. And the first episode basically shows off a bit of each of the girls, though it's really quick and not at all, we don't actually get much of anything out of them. And basically the first episode is just the formation of a new unit and these are the three, let's say, main girls for the series for the most part. So basically Meguru, Hiyori, and for the last one, the main one, Mano. And basically, in a way, and this is part of the problem, Meguru has no personality developed whatsoever. They say that she was born in America and came to Japan, but that's never explored. Her backstory is never explored, really. And for the most part, she's just there for the whole anime. Hiyori, she starts off, and there is mostly of a mini arc with the fact that Hiyori is the combination of Uzuki and somewhat of Haruka, and somehow a bit of Rei from Million Life. And it kind of begins with the fact that she is obstinate. She wants to train more because she doesn't see herself on par with other girls and so on and so forth. But at the same time, she has that angst that she's not delivering as much as she expects herself to do it, and the whole kind of thing. And there is this mini arc where Meguru and Mano kind of warm up to her and show their own faults and their own failures, and they come together by the end. And then we have the formation of the fourth unit, the last one. So at this point, before the formation of the fourth unit, we had the three first units were Ostromedia, Hokago, Climax Girls. For the sake of the algorithms all around the platforms I publish this in, I will not say the second word every time I mention them, just because. And the third unit is, at the very least, they say Antika in Japanese, but there is a fucking L there, and so for me it's Lantika, but they never actually say the L, which is just weird. And then the fourth unit, Meguru, Hiyori, and Mano, is Illumination Stars. And so this is the first episode. The second to, I think, the fifth episode is the one day in each of the units' lives, because at this point the units are developed enough so they have their own schedules and their own work and so on and so forth, their own identity too. So much so that Antika, for the most part, is really an outlier when you think about it. I think Hokago Girls and Ostromedia are like pretty adjacent one another, and Antika is just on another market, which is kind of weird at the same time, but I will get there when I get there. So the thing is, for each of the units we have a different case, let's say. So first is Antika. So from the first episode where we focused on Hiyori, Meguru, and Mano, we go to the next girls and we get to meet each of the girls on Antika, although they are not equally developed. So the main one, the group leader, is Kogane. Kogane is a best girl on my opinion, because oh my god, man, she's just so hyper, and at the same time I can't understand one single word that she says. I don't know what kind of dialect she's talking. I don't know if it's Gyaro talk. I don't know if it is a huge mumbo jumbo of kind of slang and streetwise kind of. I don't know what language she's talking. I know that sometimes something Japanese actually comes out and then I understand it, but most of the time I can't understand anything that she says. And besides that, she's adorable in her ways. Also because I think that she's one of the archetypes of character that she tries to hold her tears a lot whenever she's facing like difficult stuff, which gives a bit more of a edge to her character. Although there are no like real scenes where it comes really heavy, so it doesn't really give the emotional payout by the end, which is okay, I think. But at the same time, I don't know. The thing is, she's best girl. Outside of Kogane, we have Mamimi, which is, I would say, the second or third in comparison most developed character in Antika. Sakuya, who is the tall, tanned One-san kind of type, who is pretty nice. Also one of the most developed girls in the unit and in the anime itself, and this is a thing that I will discuss more when I finish the units, but the development of each of the girls is really sparse depending on who you talk, and but basically that's mostly. So we have in total Kogane, Mamimi, Sakuya, Yuika, and Kiriko, and basically we have one episode all like centered on Antika, although there are like cuttings for other units, and it culminates in the insert song Babel City Grace. I think I'm pronouncing this right. Yeah, Babel City Grace. It is a really nice insert song. This song is one that I will keep for me and down in the show notes too. A really nice, really nice song. Then for the third episode, we have an episode centered on Austromedia that is comprised of twin sisters Amana and Tenka and Chiyuki, and being really simplistic here, but it is the feeling that I got. It feels like, and this may be because of a lot of memes and the anime mother hairstyle meme that's been going around for some time now, but Chiyuki feels like the mother of both Tenka and Amana for a reason. Really, they really show that kind of maternal kind of reassurance, and for the most part it is pretty okay. They are not really the kind of aesthetic that I like for idols, and that reflects on the song. The episode's pretty okay in that matter. They show off some kind of stuff, but not really my cup of tea. The fourth episode is an episode centered on the Hokaku girls, and basically the Hokaku girls, they actually kind of begin to demonstrate the problem here. Not all the girls are developed equally, and in the matter that they actually try to silo the units into themselves, because most of the talk is between the units, even at the end where they kind of begin to meld a bit. The interactions are mostly within the unit, and also within the unit some of the girls don't actually shine through. So for instance, the two that actually shine through in Hokago's case is the leader Kaho and the second in command Chiyoko. The other three, Juri, Rinse, and Natsuha, they are not really like overshadowed, but at the same time they are not really mentioned that much. I would say, like, I'm kind of being a bit, exaggerated. I think Judy also has a lot of lines, but Natsuha and Rinsen especially, they don't actually talk that much, if at all, for the whole anime. Their episode is kind of cute. It's pretty wholesome, it's pretty exaggerated for the most part. It's something that only on anime this would actually work. But it's kind of cringy, but at the same time it's kind of wholesome, kind of cute, and I ended up kind of liking it because, and this is a thing, the insert song that they have, Yumesaki After School, is pretty nice. In terms of the song itself, I will not comment on the choreography. I don't actually like it, but the song pretty nice. Another one to add to the list. And then the fifth episode is episode centered on Illumination Stars. And then the mini arc, the one episode that we have, is basically Mano and Meguro kind of warming up to Hyorin in some ways. That it's kind of weird. I've already seen this elsewhere with all the idol anime I ever watched. So yeah, been there, done that. The insert song Hikari no Destination, not really my cup of tea, but if it's your jam, it's your jam. And with everything that goes to now, it is let's say it is a build up for an event that will happen, that is the Wing Festival. That is a Grand Prix for idols and so on and so forth, and every one of the units will compete, and they actually compete. But here's the thing, and something that I don't quite get it. They hype this kind of thing up, and they show all this training footage of the girls, and they start recording themselves because they will all be included on a documentary to like the road for Wing, and then the whole thing. Like they do this whole drama about this competition, so on and so forth, but they never actually show any of the competitors outside of Tsubasa Pro. They never actually show any of the prizes, any of the stakes that actually go there, and it kind of feels pointless in that manner because the girls are training the normal stuff at the release on our eyes as audience, and it doesn't really click. Like, yeah, you're training for that competition, but what's in there for you? Like, there's nothing. They don't actually translate these for us audience. They just have us assume that it is important because it is important. They don't actually give any of the why this is the one competition that you need to win, and so on and so forth. And the whole thing kind of comes down to this, where the 6 episodes basically them, the girls, documenting themselves to add to the documentary that will be later on produced by a TV station, because the producer got them that. And then the 6 episodes basically that, the 1 month before Wing. And when we get to the 7th episode, this is the part where I kind of don't really like the way that they did at all. So the 7th episode is basically the documentary coming and basically airing, and each of the girls watching and reminiscing the results that they got. And the results don't actually get that clear. They don't actually show who won, but we clearly can see who lost, so it doesn't really kind of get the whole idea, but it is just an episode just to watch a bit of the footage that they already shown on the last episode, and then each of the girls having kind of a flashback for their results, just to explain the results. And for one, and this is a thing, right? Antica didn't win. And I think that's bullshit because they have the best song till now. But also, it is just a huge letdown, because you hype this up for 5 episodes to then not even show the competition and not even put an insert song in the fucking episode where we talk about the results. Like, come on, man, what the fuck? I'm pretty bitter on this review. I don't know if it translates to what I'm talking, but oh my god, man, so many things that you could have done better. I'm just angry that it could have been done so much better, but they fucked up for no real reason. So, by the end of the 7th episode, the producer comes up with a new idea. So, Tsubasa Pro will have their first live event with all their units on a undefined date. And so, the girls need to train for a joint song. It eventually becomes 2, but we'll get there when we get there. So, and for that reason, the girls start to meet up with one another. So, the units begin to actually interact between each other. And this is the part where I need to say that I wish that they did this before, like they started with this, much like every single one of the past Idol Masters that ever come before it, except for Million Live, because Million Live was a bit hit or miss. But every single one of the Idol Masters that came before it, from the OG didn't have units for sake of discussion in that matter, so we can say that the group was always one group. But Cinderella girls had different units, and the girls lived together every episode, every time. The U149 same thing, and so that's the thing, right? So I don't know why they didn't actually get all the girls starting like as one single group. It feels weird in that way. I don't think that you need like a different episode for each of the units more than you need one different episode for each of the girls, because the units, they don't actually offer that kind of depth that we would want in knowing each character, because the unit is not the character is the character, and the unit is the junction of said characters. It feels like we don't get like the actual thing, like you got me here but it's not here, it's like 50 meters there, you know, like oh, so close and yet so far. I'm getting off track. So 90th episode, by the end of the 8th episode, the producer asks Mano to be the center for the new song, and so there's this whole kind of mini drama around Mano being or not prepared to be the center. The 9th episode, we have the introduction of the new song and all the girls need to practice and so on and so forth. Then we have one episode where Hokago Girls works with Ostromedia, and then we have one episode where Lantika works with Illumination Stars, and each of them learn one thing different from another. And by this point, we are nearly by the end of the anime. 10th episode, the girls go to a 2-day training camp. All the girls go to a 2-day training camp to learn the second joint song, that is Spread the Wings. And the first one is the opening, Tsubasa Gravity. They name the joint group of all the units Shiny Colors, coming back to the title of the anime, and they go through the training camp kind of stuff. So it kind of feels a bit like Cinderella Girls in that way, a very little bit, where the girls start training, it doesn't feel right, and someone comes up with the idea of like, let's smile and actually do it, enjoying it, and then the girls come together, actually do the thing, and get the training camp done and learn the song and so on and so forth. The 11th and 12th episode, I will say that it is just one big episode where we have a whole lot, and this is the actual first live that they actually present. It is basically them presenting the live and actually having a whole lot of insert songs, which I was really like, I was surprised, because by the 11th episode, just to set the stage, right? So there is this one scene where they will all enter the standby rooms and the actual stage, and they need that one war cry scene where all the girls get together. And by the start, I was really feeling like they would fumble it, and then this is a really small thing that I'm commenting on, but they actually did the war cry really, really close to my heart, like Tsubasa Pro Yo, and I was melted that way. It just melted my heart. The rose tint classes, they are really poisonous for me. I'm really weak for this kind of stuff. Anyways, so each of the units have 2 insert songs each. That is to say that Illumination has their first insert song, and then another one. Hokago, Ostromedia has it. Hokago has it. A special shout out to the second one from Hokago, Taiyo Keys. That sounds really nice. So Lantika does have Bubble City Grace, but the second one, I think it's the Genwaku Silhouette, not that great. And just a quick aside, just to again nag on the animation, I think that they use the same choreography for all the songs for all the girls. I can't confirm this for 3 of the groups, but for Hokago I can clearly say they reuse the fucking choreography for the models, because Kaho has this one move that I think is really cringe whenever they sing Yumesaki After School, and it is the same thing when they actually go through the drop of Taiyo Keys. So I'm blaming that on them, and I think that they did the same choreography for the models for both songs. Anyways, so that's the 11th episode. The 12th episode is actually the ending of the presentation for the live. So the girls have their first joint song, that is Tsubasa Gravity. That is the opening, and they accordingly do the opening for the 12th episode, the last one, to actually have timing like in like 1.5 minutes after the start, they actually go on stage and actually sing the song. And kudos to the studio on that, because they use the whole song, the whole like 3.5-4 minute song, and I think that's a really bold move. I really thought that it was really nice in that way that they use the song in its entirety. Because if I'm talking about the visuals that they use is basically a retrospective for the whole season, and in a way I feel kind of annoyed by that, because I don't think that this season had that many memorable moments to actually retrospect on, and so it doesn't like feel like I saw the girls grow and develop themselves so much so as other seasons, to actually have the emotional connection, to actually like say have that like good reaction to like seeing a really touching moment again. Because I don't actually think that they had any touching moments, anything that actually stands out, and in that way it kind of lost me there. But then they go through the whole song, and it doesn't even there's no like mini drama for the sake of drama by the end of the season. So in that, I have to give kudos to them. I think it's really positive that they didn't actually invent something out of nowhere because they needed to, and in that way I applaud them. And then they go to the encore, do the second song, Spread the Wings. It's pretty nice, and then for the most part that's it. That's the whole anime. Important to say by this point that each of the, and this is coming back to the form that they presented, each of the episodes has let's say a post-credit scene. For the most part, the endings are not the normal ending is not like sang, so it's kind of jarring that way. I also felt that they missed a lot on not having certain songs for each of the episode, which I think they chipped out on that. It feels like it. I don't know if it's something to do with licensing, but most of the episodes don't actually have insert songs at all, which I feel is kind of a missed opportunity. Like, come on, man. We're talking about Idolmaster. Give me the damn songs. I want to buy the CD, goddammit. Add to that the fact that the whole story doesn't actually join up together very much. Some of the things they just want us to like infer from the result, which is not that great. One nice Easter egg that I think that it is worth mentioning. I don't know if it's the version I got, but each of the like last 2 seconds of each episode, we have a special illustration done by someone for like related to the episode, which is pretty cute. And then by the end of the last episode, they actually do give somewhat of a preview for the second season. So this, I can say that the second season was already kind of premeditated in that way. And one of the girls that I really wanted to see in this anime that didn't actually appear in the first season, apparently she will appear in the second one, so here's hoping. And for the most part, that's it. The anime itself is pretty shallow in that way. The whole thing, the story, the development of the characters and so on and so forth, I think it's pretty shallow. I think that they carry a lot of energy from the OGs, and in that way I don't think it's bad that they carry that energy, but I think that they needed to do more than just carry the energy. Especially the opening, I think it feels to me at the very least like they use the same arrangement from something like Ready or Change from the OG. And at the same time, some of the arrangements feel like the openings for Cinderella Girls, I think Magic specifically, especially also the second joint song, Spread the Wings, also carries that same energy, that same arrangement of Magic. The way that they sing it really reminds me of Cinderella Girls in a way. They all sing in a way, a tone, and the way that the song's written, that really reminds me of that. I don't know if that's intentional or if it's just my brain like scattering around right now, but this is the thing that I felt watching this. And in that way, I wish this anime was better done. It's not bad, and much like Million Live, it's not that it is strictly bad, but I would not say it's great. I can say it is way better than Million Live. I think it's way more realized in that way. The girls have some kind of more depth. It is easier to follow for the most part. The whole thing kind of works out together way more coherently than Million Life. And even though they don't actually show a lot of stuff and feels like they chipped out on a whole lot of animation because of, I don't know why, the whole thing kind of works out well by the end. And so here's hoping that the second season actually picks up and actually shows me something that I really want to see. This thing actually getting there and developing each of the girls. Here's hoping. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. And that's basically it. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, please share, please follow, depending on the platform you're in. And I hope you stick around for next time. Bye.